This is not good, Donald and MAGA Mike. Your presidency is slipping away. Mass Republican defections. As many as 100 Republicans in the House of Representatives may be voting to release the Epstein files against Donald Trump's demands that anybody who votes to release the Epstein files is engaged in, quote, a hostile act, end quote, against Donald Trump. So as you probably know by now by watching our reporting, Adelita Grijalva, now the congresswoman from Arizona's 7th Congressional District, became the 218th signature on the discharge petition that was initiated by Congress members Ro Khanna, Democrat, and Congressman Thomas Massie, Republican, to release the Epstein files. Now, that has to ripen, and a vote will be taking place next week to release the Epstein files, per what MAGA Mike says is going down. Now, only a handful of Republicans signed the discharge petition because some said, well, we can't go against the procedures and rules of the House, which would require this to get out of a committee and put on the House floor. Now, all of the Republican committees blocked a vote on the Epstein file from reaching the House floor. But what these Republican Congress members have all said, if the discharge petition is successful, which it has been, they all said that they will be voting to release the Epstein files. I think on the low end, there will be about 40 defections. On the high end, I think it could be as much as 100 defections. The more defections, it's important because this has to pass in both the House and it has to pass in the Senate before it ultimately works its way to Donald Trump. And then he'll be put in a position where he'll be forced to veto this thing, which we'll see when that goes down. Imagine that pressure as it builds there. So I want to show you right now Republican defections on Epstein, but also on a number of other issues as well. So here, for example, you've got Republican Congress members Bacon, Crane, Davidson, perhaps even Salazar and others. More moderates, more right-wing extremists, kind of all together. Although, let's face it, there's really no such thing as a Republican moderate anymore. I guess Bacon's as close as it comes, but he's really not. When you vote this way, the way you always do, it makes you kind of a MAGA Republican. Watch this. Manu Raju always does a good job here. Watch the statements that he got from these MAGA Republican Congress members. Here, play this clip.
If this comes on the floor, I will vote for it. I want transparency. It's the worst PR job I've seen anywhere. I mean, initially, back in February or March, whatever it was, we have all the Epstein lists right here. We're going to release it. And then all of a sudden, there's nothing. It was sort of they shot themselves in the foot on this.
The Epstein vote's coming to the floor. Are you going to vote for it, this bill?
Yeah,
you are.
I would. Yeah. I'm going to vote for it if it comes up. I'm not on the Judiciary Committee, but I did want Pam Bondi to come and do some explaining. How is it that you had everything teed up and then suddenly there's nothing? You handed out binders to journalists. What was in the binders?
I'm a Florida girl. Uh-huh. I have 2 daughters. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking, I mean, I'm sure that the president has nothing to fear. Yeah. We do need to know. We do need to know everything about Epstein.
And that is a broad cross-section of the Republican conference right there, for some more moderate members like Congresswoman Salazar and Congressman Don Bacon, who represents the swing district, to more conservative members there from Warren Davidson and Eli Crane. And it just shows you the breadth of support that there is right now for this bill. So a big question is going to be how many Republicans would require about 70 or so to break ranks to get that magic veto-proof majority. And if it does get a significant number, that would pressure the Senate to act. The Senate Republican leaders have shown no interest in putting this bill on the floor, but perhaps that could change if the significant number of Republicans do, in fact, vote for this bill next week.
Now, you heard that from the MAGA Republican Congress members. More Congress members I'll be showing you in just a moment. And while Marjorie Taylor Greene had some harsh words for Donald Trump and the regime as well, directly accusing them of this massive cover-up, essentially. But now let's go talk about what MAGA Republican Senator Kennedy from Louisiana, who kind of invented this fake accent. He doesn't really talk like this. He's like, well. He doesn't really talk like that. It's a really bad impression of him. But here he says, this Epstein thing is not going away. No matter what Trump's doing, you can't run away from this one, Donald. MAGA Republican Senator Kennedy, of all people. And he's like, here's what, you want to know what Louisiana's telling me? Okay, I'll stop doing the impression. Here, play this clip.
Well, here is the way that my people here in Louisiana see it, Casey. My people think, and I agree with them, that Epstein was a pig, a P-I-G pig. My people think that this is no country for creepy old men. My people believe, and I think they're right, that Epstein trafficked young women, some of whom were minors, to himself. But here's the issue. My people want to know who else, if anyone, did Epstein traffic young women to? And if they were punished, how were they punished? And if they weren't punished, why? Now, President Trump has turned that issue over to Attorney General Bondi. And I don't know how she is going to answer that question for the American people without releasing all the records. Maybe she can, but I just don't think this issue is going to go away until that issue is addressed and answered to the American people's satisfaction. Yeah. And I may end up with a sombrero on my head for saying that, but that's the way I see it.
Now, here is MAGA Republican Congressmember Jimenez, and he's asked, well, what do you think about this? Here's what he has to say. Here, play this clip.
Like I said before, if there was something in there that somehow implicated, the President Trump, the Biden administration would have shown it to us during their time when they had control of the files. I have no problems in releasing those files, as long as the court system says they're eligible to be released.
Why does this White House then? Do you think, why are they fighting to not release it?
Look, like I said, I don't know why there's a fight, but the American people need to know the truth, whatever it is and whoever it is. And so again, I'm very confident that the president is not implicated in this, and that because if he was, again, the Biden administration would have let us know that, a long time ago.
Well, now let me share with you Marjorie Taylor Greene. She went on Sean Spicer's podcast. Now, Sean Spicer is Donald Trump's former press secretary. Remember the start of Alternate Facts? The inauguration had the most people ever. Remember that? Start to the first regime of Trump. Watch what Marjorie Taylor Greene and even Sean Spicer has to say about these files. Here, play this clip.
So for the average person that's sitting there, whether it's Georgia or South Dakota, and saying, Congresswoman Taylor, what is it that we want to get? What are you trying to achieve in this? How do you answer that?
Transparency. And I believe the American people deserve it, but I also think the victims deserve it as well. This has been a cover up for decades now, and justice was never served for them. And I think that tells the message to any rape victim, any victim of human trafficking, any child that is trapped in terrible sexual abuse of one kind or another. That tells them that people actually do care about them, because if this is continued to cover up the most famous convicted pedophile in history, if his files are covered up, then that tells every victim that they don't matter. And Sean, I'll go further with that. There's also been information that was released that shows that Jeffrey Epstein had very deep ties to Israel and their intel agencies. And I think that is incredibly important information to be released as well.
Okay, so the average person listening to you right now says that makes a ton of sense. Why are Republicans then not all on board with what Marjorie Taylor Greene is trying to do?
Well, I think, I'll just be really honest with you. I think most of my colleagues are taking their marching orders, and that comes from the top. I was elected by my district, Sean. I represent the American people, and I'm just going to stick with doing the right thing.
Okay, fair enough. But Congressman Joe Blow says, hey, I just heard Marjorie Taylor Greene on the Sean Spicer show, because that's where they get all their information. And they said that was a really compelling case that she made. Speaker Johnson, why shouldn't I join her? Like, this seems very smart. Give me just an example. Like, what is that leadership message that says, don't do it?
Sean, it's hard for me to make excuses for something that I personally don't understand and agree with. Okay. So I can't make excuses for them. I really
Not
wish
excuses, but I just want to know, like, what's the case?
I don't know. I don't know.
I
don't know why anybody doesn't get on board and fully support the release of all this information. It's the easiest thing to do. It's what all of us have said over and over again. It was even said over and over again on the campaign trail.
Okay, so let me read you some headlines quickly because I've got some big stories to share with you. Missouri battery plant cancels project after Trump pulled $200 million grant, killing 1,000 jobs. Trump's energy policies shutter New Jersey clean energy project that would have lowered costs. Trump administration revokes Biden ban on drilling and mining in Alaskan wilderness. Every step of the way, you see the Trump administration canceling clean energy projects that are not only good for the environment, but also provide thousands of jobs to Americans. And while they're doing that, they are ripping away the regulations that protect the lands that actually make America great. Here's what all this really means. In Missouri, a major battery plant that would have created 150 permanent jobs and 900 union construction jobs collapsed overnight after Trump used the government shutdown as an excuse to yank a $200 million grant. That's not America first. That's giving China a head start, and the numbers prove it. Since Trump took office, more than 158,000 clean energy jobs have been lost or stalled as Chinese EV production booms. And the damage doesn't stop there. In New Jersey, a massive offshore wind project that would have powered 1 million homes is now dead because of Trump's so-called regulatory changes. Meanwhile, electricity prices in New Jersey have jumped 21% in a year, the highest in the country, while Trump keeps claiming that he's lowering costs. Across the country, solar plants are going bankrupt, EV battery factories are laying off thousands, and companies are canceling long-planned U.S. investments because Trump and Republicans gutted tax credits and sabotaged clean energy incentives. Michigan alone has watched 6 projects shut down in 2 months, while North Carolina lost more than 1,500 jobs across solar, battery, and construction. And while these clean energy jobs disappear, what is the Trump administration doing? They're opening millions of acres of pristine Alaskan wilderness to drilling and mining, undoing Biden's protections, ignoring indigenous communities, and greenlighting fossil fuel projects in some of the most fragile ecosystems on Earth. This isn't just bad policy, it is a direct attack on the American economy, America's workers, and America's future. So let me ask you this. What do you think? How are these decisions affecting your community, your state, your family's bills, and so on? I want to hear your thoughts on the climate, on clean energy, on what kind of country we're fighting for. So please drop your comments below. Speak out now. Your voice matters. Ben, back to you.
Now, the man of the hour, Republican Thomas Massie, Congressmember from Kentucky, who joined forces with the other man of the hour, Democratic Congressmember Ro Khanna, to get this discharge petition to where it is. I think Massie and Khanna will go down in history for their courage, for their heroism right here. Here's what Massie says about the Epstein vote and what's going down behind the scenes, and how Trump is trying to promise Republicans that he'll give them cover in their primary if they vote against releasing the Epstein files. But as Massie points out, if they vote against releasing the Epstein files, what these Congress members are realizing is that Donald Trump is a lame duck. He's a lame duck. His regime is collapsing. And how are they going to be able to win elections when he's gone? Massie makes a good point here. Here, play this clip.
And how many Republicans do you think will vote for this on the floor?
Well, I've already had a couple Republicans tell my office privately that they're going to vote for it. And I think that could snowball. I mean, the deal for Republicans on this vote is that Trump will protect you if you vote the wrong way. In other words, if you vote to cover up for pedophiles, you've got cover in a Republican primary. But I would remind my colleagues that this vote is going to be on your record for longer than Trump is going to be president. And what are you going to do in 2028 and 2030 when you're in a debate, either with a Republican or a Democrat, and they say, how can we trust you? You covered up for a pedophile back in, 2025.
Now, to reinforce this idea of lame duck, here is what Senator Kennedy has to say again. Here, play this clip.
Do you think President Trump's a lame duck at this point?
Well, he can't run again, yes.
And do you think the Republican Party is treating him as such? Because for much of the first year, he's not been treated the way a lame duck president often is.
Well, I don't know how to answer that, Casey. I mean, to some extent, every president is a lame duck because there's no guarantee they'll be reelected. But in this instance, I think the Constitution's pretty clear that a president, whomever it might be, can only serve 2 terms.
Now, I found it interesting that on state regime media known as Fox, despite the fact that they really were not talking about Epstein at all in the release of the 20,000 emails that are absolutely devastating for the Trump regime, it was interesting that their host kind of, I guess subtly or not so subtly, was talking about why are we not focused on child trafficking? And she talks about it like that without mentioning Trump's connection to these Epstein emails. Here, play this clip.
I don't know why people don't talk more about the human trafficking problem in the United States of America. So many people seem to want to turn a blind eye to what is happening to these young kids.
Now, MAGA Mike, of course, is in panic mode. He was running around Capitol Hill saying, these emails that were released, there's nothing bad in there. Just a massive distraction. Just one big massive distraction. Here, play this clip.
I don't. I think it's all been explained. I think this is a massive distraction by the Democrats while we're trying to get the government reopened and covered for their mistakes. And I find it interesting that the press corps didn't ask all these questions for 4 years during the Biden administration.
But the president is the one who wanted all these documents out. Why not release all these documents now?
He's for maximum transparency. He said it as recently as a couple of days ago, and I talked to him about it today. He's for everything coming out. Always has been.
Provision that you just said that you're going to have a suspension vote to repeal next week. Did you know that provision was?
No, I found out about it last night. I was surprised. I was shocked by it, and I was angry about it, to be honest.
You want me just to pick an email at random there, MAGA Mike? How about this one between Jeffrey Epstein and his brother, where it says the following. This is from Epstein's brother, Mark, to Jeffrey Epstein. How are you doing? A while back, you mentioned that you were pre-diabetic. Has anything changed with that? What's your boy Donald up to now? March 19, 2018. Epstein responds, all good. Bannon with me. That's March 19, 2018. And then Epstein's brother says, ask him if Putin has the photos of Trump blowing Bubba. And then Epstein goes, and I thought I had whatever. And then they go, you and your boy Donnie can make a remake of the movie Get Hard. And okay, there's a lot worse than that. I did a whole recount of I went through all 23,000 emails for you. Go watch that video that I did. But okay, MAGA Mike, if you say so, if you say it's not damaging, MAGA Mike, I guess MAGA Mike says it. A few other things I want to point out as well. By now, you probably know that Donald Trump said that he likes the H-1B visa program because Trump says that Americans can't do skilled work, that Americans are not talented. Remember, Donald Trump said that to Laura Ingraham. I'm doing a direct quote of Donald Trump. So immediately after Trump said that, or 2 days after Trump saying that, Marjorie Taylor Greene introduced a bill to end the H-1B visa program, giving the middle finger right in front of Donald Trump's face and sticking her middle finger right up at his nose. Here, play this clip.
My dear fellow Americans, I'm introducing a bill to completely eliminate the H-1B visa program, which has been riddled with fraud and abuse and has been displacing American workers for decades. There will only be one exemption in my bill, and it will allow for a $10,000 per year cap on visas issued to medical professionals like doctors and nurses who provide life-saving care to Americans. However, even this $10,000 per year cap will be phased out over 10 years to allow us time to build our own pipeline of American doctors and physicians.
And I don't know why I gave that weird imagery of the middle finger up his nose, but I did that anyway. I'm not sure why. Marjorie Taylor Greene also responds to the following story. Scoop from Axios. Israel is seeking a new 20-year security agreement with the U.S. and Trump, doubling the usual term and adding America First modifications to win the Trump administration's support. Israeli and U.S. officials told me. Marjorie Taylor Greene just responds, nope, is what she says there. Show you this as well. I mean, people like Pete Sessions, MAGA Republican congressman, when he's asked about whether he still has questions about if Trump knew about Epstein's sexual abuse, watch what he has to say. Play this clip.
You say there are many questions. You still have a question about whether Donald Trump knew about the sexual abuse at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein?
Well, I've not gone through all of the documents yet. As you said, there's 20,000 pages. Our staff is going through this. I have been back home in Waco, Texas for the last 3 weeks dealing with the shutdown there. I will get back to it. We will get this done. But what we're doing right now is taking the huge number of emails, of data, of pages, and going through it. And there will be, on a bipartisan basis, an agreement about how we're going to hold formal hearings, who we're going to ask these questions to, and make sure the members are up.
And then Democratic Congress member Jamie Raskin. I need to, after showing you all those Republicans, I have to show you Congressmember Raskin right here, because he just makes a very simple point, which is all of these emails that we've seen of Epstein come from the Epstein estate, not the files that have Donald Trump's name on it. So clearly, the Trump regime is hiding the files because they have his name on it, considering the massive amount of references to Trump's name on the estate emails. Raskin, take it away.
Give us an update as well about others who may have information, and that could be prison mates of Ghislaine Maxwell. I mean, give us an update on that and what the committee is thinking about how to talk to these people.
Well, the thing that really struck me so intensely yesterday was all of these emails saying things like, of course, Trump knew about the girls and tried to get Maxwell to stop. And we don't know if that means to stop stealing girls from Trump at his hotel and taking them into their operation, or stop being involved with Epstein. We don't know exactly what it means, but there's all kinds of emails that indicate that Donald Trump was perfectly situated to know what was going on and ensconced in that whole culture. After all, Epstein was his best friend for more than 10 years, although Epstein said very mocking, derisive things about Trump in some of these emails, saying that he was, borderline deranged and demented, and, talked about how stupid he was and so on. But in any event, we know from these emails that that Trump was aware of everything going on, and the Department of Justice must have these same emails, and yet none of them were released by the Department of Justice in these huge tranches of material that were sent over, including completely irrelevant press releases from many years ago and all of this flotsam and jetsam stuff. But the point is that the Department of Justice has not released any of these emails that mention Trump's name and that identify his role in all these activities. Those came from the estate of Jeffrey Epstein instead. So this is a demonstration that the government is very deliberately withholding the information that everybody is actually looking for in anything that could be damaging to Trump.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million, and thanks for watching.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.